of the Commission of Knox County, Tennessee, instructing the Knox County Ethics Committee to evaluate the Knox County Ethics and make recommendations regarding improvements, changes, or clarifications on or before November the 1st, 2007.
Okay, intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental voted 5-0-3-1, no recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Finance Committee. 10-0. Motion to approve. Second by Commissioner who? Green. Any questions? Commissioner Lambert?
Guys, I just think this is a bad idea. I certainly think that our ethics policy needs to be clarified, but I think that needs to be done by commission. I don't believe that we need to have the ethics committee making their rules, which essentially whatever they recommend, we're pretty much going to have to vote for, no matter what it is, because the pressure will be that if we, if the ethics committee recommends something and we don't go along with it, that we're unethical. And I just don't think it's ever a good idea to have a body make the rules and then enforce the rules. I certainly think that we need to revisit this and we need to clarify this, but it needs to be county commission that clarifies our ethics policy, or maybe a separate committee that we form of county commissioners. And I believe that we need to keep the ethics committee in their role as the enforcement and the hearing body.
Okay, Commissioner Smith.
Mr. Hammond had his light on first.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I was just, we appointed this group as the ethics committee, and we nominated them. And Mr. Lambert, you picked your pastor from these other people, and I think we need to stand by them and do what it says. I'm not afraid of it.
Okay, Commissioner Franklin.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The law director has worked on some of those before, and I think that's where we ought to start. And I was just wondering whether we would include the fact that they would take a look at, to start with, what our law director has done, a review of this across the nation and come up with a recommendation, and that they would start with that. The same comment would be on the next one, 906, that the law department would be the proposal and have them react to it and bring it back. So that would be a clarification, and I don't know if they could be included or not, but I think that's just where you start with. I don't think it changes where it goes. It's just, rather than trying to cut it from whole cloth when he's already worked on it, I think we ought to start since he's advisor to that committee anyhow.
Okay. Before we get over to you, I'd like to make a substitute motion to ask the law director to study this for 30 or 60 days. I'll say 60 just to give him time. Check around the state, check with CTAS, check with other governments to see if they're having these problems or if they have clarified what their ethics policy is anywhere in the state of Tennessee, and then come back to this commission and report what you find. I think that's not this commission doing it, but certainly I think you have an obligation to find the truth and give us the facts. And I think that's if we want to clarify it. So I'd like to make that a substitute motion. I second. Second by Commissioner Lambert. You want to go first, or I'll start that in, Commissioner Henry?
Yes, I think, Mr. Chairman. The reason that I had put this on the agenda is, as those of us who have served on the ethics panel realize, that what we have is very vague. It needs clarification. We need to fully understand what the policy is. It's like if I'm going to play football, I want to know what the rules are. And so clarifying the rules is something that this policy needs and needs desperately, because we just read different things about, is it a violation? Is it not a violation? The way our policy reads now, it says, what would a reasonable person conclude? Well, I think we're all reasonable people up here, but all 19 of us might have a different idea of what reasonable is. But by clarifying the policy, it makes it clear what is a violation, what is not a violation. Mr. Law Director, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were quoted in the media saying that a violation of this policy was what the majority of the ethics panel said it was.
That's right. It takes 5 votes.
And so I frankly am not comfortable with that. I feel like that we need to know what the rules are, that if we can clarify those rules, that's in everyone's best interest, from this body to every elected official to every employee who is affected by this. I will say that I've talked with David Connor, who is the head of CTAS. He has offered to help us. He has offered to lend any assistance that we might need to help clarify and improve this policy. I've talked with Karen Eckelbracht, who is a professor at the University of Tennessee who teaches ethics. She has volunteered her time to work with us to lend any assistance that we might need. And I would just go back to something that Mr. Smith had said, and that is, we have appointed this ethics panel. I mean, these are people that we brought forward. These are citizens who, for the most part, have agreed to serve in this manner, and who I believe, for the most part, would be willing to do this. Now, Commissioner Lambert had mentioned to me in the hallway that he had talked with Ms. Tucker, and that Ms. Tucker had some reservations about it, and that's quite possible. I haven't talked with all 9 members, primarily because Mr. Owings told us that that might be a violation of the Sunshine Law at our very first meeting. But I do know that there are those on the panel who are willing to take on this responsibility if you so choose. And again, I would just point out that all we're asking through this recommendation is to bring this body a recommendation. You can do with it what you will. You can vote it up, you can vote it down, you can amend it, you can throw it away if you want to. All we're asking these people to do is to come and make a recommendation to us. Ms. Kim Waller is here, who is a member of the ethics panel, and she called and asked if it would be appropriate for her to speak on this, and if it's appropriate, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask her to speak at this time.
Okay, Kim, if you'll come on down to the podium, let me say a couple of things. Just probably 45 days ago, I tried to do exactly what you were talking about. You were quoted in June 19, the Knox County Sentinel, saying we didn't need to do these 28 exemptions, and that was clarifying this. And I have the article if you want to see it.
There is a difference between exempting and clarifying and improving.
Well,
now, sir, you withdrew your motion, or you withdrew your resolution at the last meeting. You did not bring it before this body for discussion. I was prepared to discuss at that time. I was prepared to come in and make recommendations and some things that I had some issues with, but you withdrew that. And so when you withdrew it, it's very obvious that this policy needs to be looked at. And that was when I came with this proposal to allow these citizens an opportunity to come in, look at it, bring in people from outside, perhaps use Mr. Owings and his expertise, like Mr. Luthold has said, to do it. But let's come up with a policy that we can present to you that has been given quite a bit of thought from a lot of different people. But again, you withdrew it. You did not bring it to the floor for discussion.
But there were people in the media, and you being quoted, that I didn't want to bring something to this commission unless I felt that the commission wanted to deal with it. I think it's something that needed to be done, and I think we had some good clarifications, and it was pretty simple, and it was by a party outside of this government. You're talking about using David Connors. He works directly for commissioners in this state. I mean, we can make a vote to do away with him if you had enough support by commissioners in the state of Tennessee. So I think having him brought in is not using outside people.
He has just offered. We don't necessarily have to do that. But again, why did you not bring it to the floor for discussion? Because you had it here. I was prepared to deal with it. You voluntarily withdrew it at our last meeting.
Certainly did. But if you read the papers like I did,
well, I don't always.
Bad boys.
I don't always read the paper, but again, you know, if it's good policy or bad policy, it needs to be discussed regardless of what anybody thinks.
Well, and you made another observation that we appointed these people, and we certainly did, and I supported it. I didn't support them for any other thing than what we gave them the charge to do, and that was to investigate ethic violations. So to say that we gave these people broad powers, my vote certainly wasn't to give them anything other than what they were charged to deal with, and I appreciate all of them serving. But my concern is not only us, the elected officials, but also teachers. I mean, my daughter didn't graduate, but she got out of the 4th grade last year at A.J. Burnett at the end of the year. Certainly, is that an ethics violation for a teacher to accept a gift?
We don't know, and that's why we need it clarified. And this is why it would be good for a body of people such as this to take a look at it and bring recommendations here so that it is clarified.
I don't think it's this body's responsibility, but Kim, if you'll go ahead and give us your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Kim Waller, 2533 Buffett Mill Road. I'm here today speaking as an individual. I would like that to be clear from the beginning. I'm not speaking for anyone else on the Ethics Committee, and I'm certainly not speaking for the committee. No one on the committee knows anything about what is in my remarks I'm about to make. I'm here to speak in favor of and to urge you to vote for Mr. Hammond's resolutions. In the few months that the Ethics Committee has been functioning, we have received letters protesting or complaining about situations in county government, but no letters with specific enough complaints to merit the committee's further action. These letters do, however, point to something important, and that is the evidence of our citizens in Knox County having a deep concern about government officials, both elected and appointed, and the behavior of those officials in representing citizens. There's also concern over government employees and how they conduct themselves. We were selected to be on the committee to represent a cross-section of citizens of our county, and I believe that as a committee we do that. Commissioner Hammond's resolutions ask that the Ethics Committee make recommendations. As he said, that's all, a recommendation. It does not ask that we set the policy. Ultimately, that is up to this body, and I believe everyone on the Ethics Committee understands and knows that. Taking recommendations via the Ethics Committee would demonstrate to our citizens that this body is serious about the issue and that this body actually trusts the Ethics Committee it appointed. It would demonstrate a positive and proactive step towards reassuring the public in Knox County. As a member of the committee, I can tell you that in my observance of the committee members, which does include 2 county commissioners, it's clear to me that we take our charge seriously, and I don't believe any member of the committee has a hidden agenda. I myself only seek to represent the constituent group I was appointed on behalf of, which was school employees. Is that right, Mayor? I feel that our citizens want to voice their recommendations through the committee. And as I wrap up my comments, I just want to leave you with a comment. I was privileged to hear Robert Parham, who is the executive director of the Baptist Center for Ethics in Nashville, and he had a wonderful quote in a speech he gave that I heard. And he said, "Ethics is knowing the difference between what you have the right to do and what is the right thing to do." I urge your support of these resolutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Mr. Chairman, I think everyone knows how they're going to vote, so I'm not going to belabor this except to say that I think the public should understand who we are asking to bring these recommendations before us. Reverend Ron Stewart is the chairman, who is pastor of one of the largest Baptist churches in the Carnes, in Knox County, in the Carnes area. Franklin Shanklin, who is a local business person. Kim, who you just heard from. Rex Davis, former member of City Council. Julia Tucker, who's been on school board. Martha Phillips, who we all know. Mike Duncan with the Knox County Sheriff's Department. Mr. Pinkston and I are on it, and of course you can think what you will about myself, but I believe that these are honorable people, and I believe that they do, as Ms. Waller said, take their charge seriously. I don't think that they have hidden agendas. They want what's best for Knox County. They have agreed to serve on this with no pay, and they're taking some abuse, and that's okay, because that's part of it when you get into public life. So I would just encourage you to vote to allow the Ethics Committee to make recommendations. Let's see what they come up with. It may be a great policy. It may be the worst policy ever in the history of county government. But at least let's give them a chance and let them work on it.
Thank you, Commissioner Hammond. Commissioner Trammell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I agree with Commissioner Hammond. We do need to put some teeth in this policy, but I think it needs to come from this body. I think the Ethics Commission needs a guideline to go by. And, you know, you can bring it up and be vilified, but you need Mike to bring it up next time. It may go a little farther.
You just need to go to him next time.
Yeah, that's right. But I think that's our job. I really do. I mean, we're in, you know, there's tough decisions that we have to make here, and we need to make these. We need to put the rules on ourselves and have the Ethics Committee police us. And, I mean, you can't legislate morality. You can't put something on paper and tell people not to do it. I mean, we have thousands of laws on the books, and they're broken every day. Everybody knows their own heart. You know right from wrong. You just got to do it. But I think it's up to this commission. I think we should, and if you want to appoint a different committee to expand on policies and procedures that we need to follow or that county employees and officials need to follow, let's do that and give it to the ethics committee and then let them go to work. But I don't think I don't believe that this is exclusive to Knox County. If you look throughout the state, the state itself is having problems with this ethics commission. It's brand new, and it's not going to come out of the gate and work perfectly. We've got to tweak it. We've got to work with it, and we have to, listen to the citizens to what they want, put it in the policy, and then let the ethics commission do their job. But I think our job is to put that policy in place for them.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Trammell. Commissioner Cate.
Hey, Mr. Chairman. A question and a comment. Am I to understand that this would apply to all school teachers, county employees, as well as
every elected official and every employee in Knox County government?
I really have no problem with the Ethics Committee bringing us recommendations. I do think that at the same time, we need to have the law director or whoever needs to do this, maybe our staff, gather up all the policies that are in place so we have something to look at the same time we do it.
Now, we've got a substitute motion on the floor asking the law director to, over the next 60 days, check around the state, come up and see what other counties are doing, and with CTASC and our association, along with their association. I'm sure there's people, as I sit on the board of directors for Tennessee County Commissioners Association, I hear commissioners from across the state dealing with the same issues that we are dealing with, and they're saying, what do we need to do? Well, maybe we need to get CTASC, the one that came up with this policy, to go back and revise it for all of the state of Tennessee. Maybe they're already doing that. I just think we get in a big hurry around this community whenever the newspaper says we're doing something wrong, that we try to do a knee-jerk reaction, and most of the time we end up in a worse situation than we do now, than we've got right now. So let's just slow down. Like Commissioner Trammell says, you're not going to legislate people to have good ethics. Either you've got them or you don't. And I think for the most part, people in Knox County have good ethics. I think all this started in Nashville with some people breaking laws, not just ethics violations, but broke the law. When you take $800,000 in contract money, I'm sure that they wasn't really concerned about an ethics policy, even if they'd have had one. The FBI took care of that, and they'll do us the same way. So Commissioner Norman or Commissioner
Let me make sure I understand the parliamentary situation. If we want to gather up all this information from other places, we need to vote for the substitute motion, which kills the original motion.
Well, yes, it will kill the original motion, but they can bring it back to us and we can decide what to do with it then. Maybe we do need somebody to look at it. But let's get the information and see what everybody else is doing around the state. It doesn't hurt to take 60 days to study something and ask the law director to do it.
Can't we combine these some way and get both things started at the same time?
Well, don't you need the information before you set out somebody having a charge to do something? Because we're going to be expanding something that the state didn't really set up to give them authority to do. Even though we can give them the authority, wouldn't we rather have the information to look at? They may come back from CTASC and have a policy that looks good.
Well, I'm still struggling with the law director's instruction why Ms. Waller and everybody else can't just bring us some recommendations, but that's over my head.
Well, in my opinion, whatever the policy comes out is that our local newspaper would be all over it, and the commissioners who voted against it would be very bad commissioners, that we don't care about people. And I just think that's unfair. And I'm not going to be put in a situation like that. Commissioner Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm kind of new at this public service job that I've been elected to, but certainly it's become apparent to me that there's a huge issue of public trust, mistrust in this body, and I have no fear whatsoever, and I notice that there's hardly been a person on this body that has not been slammed by the newspaper for one reason or another. And I have no fear of what's going to come from an ethics committee. I would be amazed And I am amazed that an ethics committee, that a group of people will try to take on this task. It will be, and it is, a very difficult task. And you acknowledge that. Several of you, Commissioner Lambert, Commissioner Moore, we know it is going to be very difficult to define and clarify. But I have no problem whatsoever with anybody that wants to attempt this and give us guidance. I'm looking for guidance all the time.
Commissioner Harmon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What we're looking at here is the very fact that our community cares about ethics, and that's marvelous. We have an ethics committee. And all we're asking them to do, as Commissioner Hammond has pointed out, is make a recommendation, and make it by November. That's not a hurry. That's reasonable. That gives plenty of time for the law director, for you, me, CTAS, anyone else to send information to help them make a better recommendation. And furthermore, we are free to amend, deny, ignore that recommendation. I'm not afraid of the newspaper. I'm not afraid of public criticism. I am afraid that the substitute motion before us is really an effort to defer, delay, and deny. And let's not do that. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. If the law director wants us to compile good ethics codes and send them over to the commission, great. That doesn't mean we should delay this. We've been delaying our consideration of ethics long enough, and the community demands better of us. That's why we need to defeat the substitute motion and pass the original.
Thank you, Commissioner Harmon. Commissioner Pinkston.
I don't even understand why we have to vote on this to send it to the ethics committee. I serve with Commissioner Hammond there, and I think we sent a letter here not too long ago asking the commission to look at something. Why couldn't we have not just come up with this without it coming before the commission and asking the commission to vote on it? Why could we just not come up with some changes we recommend? Now, Commissioner Hammond sits on that committee with me, and I've told him several...
Paul, will you pull that mic close to you? I can't even hear you.
I've told him several times that we need to determine what a nepotism policy is. I get no backing on the ethics committee. None whatsoever. I believe I understood Commissioner Hammond to say at one of the meetings that those 28 things you had put on there would weaken it. Or maybe I'm wrong. I may be wrong on that part of it. Like I say, I said I believe.
I never made that statement.
But Commissioner Hammond, you've heard me say several times that we need to determine what nepotism is and send it to the commission. And you have never backed me on it, yet you come down here asking the commission. I believe this is grandstanding. And I have concerns right now with our ethics committee, and I'll tell you what the concerns I've got. We get these letters from the public out here. They're not supposed to be knowledgeable to anybody but the chairman and the law director. Then they are presented to us at the meeting and we discuss them. These letters have been leaked out, and people are defending themselves before the people on the ethics committee even know what the letters say, before we get the letter. So I'm determined about the ethics of the ethics committee, and that will be brought up at the ethics committee before long. Now, when somebody comes down here and defending what is said in the letter that I don't even know that the ethics committee got, that's wrong. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Commissioner Hammond, were these letters supposed to go to the ethics committee chairman only, and then he takes them to the law director to see if there is probable cause there for us to talk about?
Mr. Law Director?
Our procedure is that the complaints go to a certain P.O. box. They're mailed to the P.O. box. The chair of the committee, which is Dr. Stewart, reviews those complaints to see if they're credible. And he makes that determination. If they are credible, he sends me a copy of the complaint prior to the meeting for my review.
All right. But nobody on the ethics committee gets that letter until that meeting. That's the way we've been received. Is that correct?
Not until the meeting, yes, sir.
Right. How is this getting out about who we're talking about going to be investigating when the committee members don't even know? So we need to investigate the ethics of the ethics committee.
Commissioner Smith.
Mr. Chairman, I want to move forward. Mr. Hammond, I applaud you for doing this. Yeah, you went out on your own, and I applaud your leadership. in what you're doing. There's some difference on this. Some people for it, some are against it. Folks, it's time Knox County move forward. There's so many things that this body has put aside. Guys and women, we've got work to do, and this is one of the things we need to do. Now, if we come back, and let's say there's 28 things, Mike, that you all do, and Mike, this for the law director too. Say they come back with 28 things the Ethics Committee says to do, and we adopt that for 6 months. And Mr. Law Director, if the state comes by in 6 months and now here's something statewide, we just follow on that plan, correct?
Well, right now, we don't have any requirements by the state of what exactly to put in a policy, okay? What the state did, they passed enabling legislation, which, as part of that legislation, they said, the County Technical Assistance Service, CTAS, you come up with a policy that all 95 counties can adopt. They said the same thing to MTAS for all the cities in the state of Tennessee that they could adopt. The policies are very similar. What we did, this commission adopted the CTAS policy. We've changed that policy one time, and that was in the makeup of the committee. All policies have to be on file, or you have to notify the state as of July 1 of this year, of '07, whether you have followed whether you have just adopted the CTAS policy or whether you have adopted a policy of your own. If you've adopted the CTAS policy, all you were required to do was to notify the state that you'd done so. We have sent the state a copy of our policy because we amended it to address the makeup of the body and how that body is selected. So our policy is on file with the state. I would imagine if other counties have adopted policies that are somewhat different from CTAS, their policies should be on file with the state. If they weren't on file by the state by July 1, then according to the legislation, their legislative body was subject to ouster. Well, so, they should be there.
Here's the way I look at this, all of Knox County is looking at us right now, and I appreciate your leadership, Mr. Hammond, in doing this. Folks, I'll say it before. I waited a long time to be a commissioner. I worked hard to be a commissioner, and I'm proud to be a commissioner. But right now, we're the stock of Knox County, and I want to move this body forward, and let's do what's right. Guys, this is only recommendations. If we don't like them, then turn it down. What are you afraid of?
Larry, Commissioner Smith, let me say something. This is not only about this body. This is about the sheriff, and the sheriff's employees. This is about every elected official and every employee in Knox County government.
And if they don't like it,
then don't have a charge to do anything. We're elected officials, and people elected us to take care of business. And if they don't like the way we do business, every 4 years they get a chance to say, you all didn't do what we wanted to get done.
I agree.
These people have to answer to no one. They're not elected by their citizens.
But if they come up, Scott, they come up with, say, 16, 17 things, and we approve of 15, then
Larry,
we're the final one.
Then the paper, the News Sentinel that has us sued right now, that obviously has a vendetta against us, Jack McElroy, is going to say in his editorials that we're unethical because we didn't approve the one thing.
I'll take that chance.
Okay, Commissioner Hammond.
Just finally, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to remind the folks, my fellow colleagues, that I will be under the same guidelines that you will be when this if indeed you vote to move forward to allow the committee to bring forward these recommendations. So I'm under no grand illusions that I'm going to be exempt from them. I'm under the same guidelines and so forth. I am a defendant in this lawsuit, just like everybody else. I have been accused of violating the law, and I will be defending myself through the law director when we go to court, if indeed we do go to court. So I'm well aware of the fact that I'm putting myself under this as well, that I'm not in any way trying to exempt myself from it. Let me just say simply this, that with CTAS, the state organization, what they did was they came up with a proposal that would be good for the entire state. We in Knox County, we're unique. We have our own ways of doing things here. Our people voted for charter government. they said we want to have, say, how we do things here in Knox County. What may be good for Obion County and Weakley County may not be the best thing for Knox County. That's why I think that a Knox County policy made by Knox County residents and voted on by this commission is a step in the right direction toward giving us a good, strong ethics policy. What's wrong with a good, strong ethics policy? I think we will all agree nothing, as long as everyone understands the rules. A wise man told me once, it doesn't matter what the rules are as long as everybody understands the rules. Where we are right now, not everybody understands the rules because what is and what is not a violation. This is what we're attempting to do, is let's clarify it, let's look at it, let's have you vote on it and determine and tell us exactly what that is. I think I would also be remiss, too, if I didn't respond to Commissioner Pinkston. Let me say that, I've known Paul a long time, and Mr. Pinkston, I have a lot of respect for you and had a lot of respect for your brother and what you've done for the citizens of Knox County. Say what you will about me, and I know that I've been looked at and am being looked at and all of this other. That's just the nature of politics. But, you have Reverend Stewart and Mr. Shanklin and Ms. Waller and all the people that I just met. These are private citizens. And if we have something specific, then let's be specific about who needs to be investigated. But to have a broad statement of the ethics committee needs to have their ethics looked at without them here to even respond or even specific types of allegations, sir, I would just really encourage us as members of the ethics committee to be cautious in our statements, particularly about our private citizens. Again, they have accepted to do this. It's not like third grade dodgeball where we were all where they were standing up and saying, pick me, I can't wait to be picked. They're doing this because we asked them to do it. And they're doing it because they want to serve and they feel like that this is a worthwhile endeavor. They're not getting paid a dime to do this. And they've already had, their integrity questioned, and now they're having it questioned again. I would just encourage us to really be cautious about using those kinds of statements about our citizens. Thank you.
First of all, I didn't call any names. Did you see the letter?
The letter?
Yeah, where a certain person was accused of ethics and where he defended it. Violations that they wanted us to check into. Did you see the letter? The
only letters I've seen are those that came in our meeting. I mean, if there's something other than the meeting, I haven't seen it.
On July the 6th, when the Ethics Committee had a special meeting down here, did you see those letters that someone came up and defended themselves at before that July the 6th?
You talking about the mayor?
You want to call his name, that's correct.
Oh, yes. I mean, we had, yes, I saw the letters that came in and they were made public, yes.
I responded to a letter in Knoxville. Now, hang on. We got to have some civil.
Well, and this gentleman stepped over the line.
Well, Mr. Mayor.
I responded to a letter in the Knoxville News Sentinel.
A letter that we were investigating.
I didn't have any idea you are.
It's odd that you vote. That's what you vote.
Well, it's odd that you vote on things when you're the poster child for nepotism.
Mr. Mayor.
If you want a nepotism policy, I'll recommend one.
Mr. Mayor. We need to get the commissioners and then we can...
Mr. Hammond, the only thing I'm saying is we asked for this at the Ethics Committee, and why you did not pick the ball up and go with some of this instead of coming and asking the commission. I'm going to vote for this. I'm not scared of it. I'm going to vote for it. But what I'm saying is, why did you not follow when I asked the Ethics Committee to come up with some policies, and you did not carry the ball there?
And this has been a discussion that we've had, is what is the authority of the Ethics Committee? And during our discussions, we have said we did not know if we had the authority to do this or not. This is why we wrote a letter about nepotism, so asking them to address nepotism at the appropriate time. And we all signed it. And so this is why I brought it before this committee, was to give us the okay, give us the authority, if you will. I don't know if the authority is the right word, to go ahead and proceed. Now, if we vote it down, then they're not going to proceed. But I know that some members of the committee, myself included, were a bit hesitant to just take the ball and run with it without some type of direction and guidance from this body.
I don't think we're a separate body, the Ethics Committee and this commission here. I think we could come up with it and just send it down here, ask them to look at it like we did with nepotism. That's what I'm saying. That don't mean they're going to vote for it, but I'll vote for sending this because I'm on the Ethics Committee.
And I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Lambert and Commissioner Harmon. Yeah.
Mike, I just talked to Julia Tucker, and she said that you all did not discuss sending this to county commission. Now, here's what I'm concerned about. You said you and certain members of the ethics committee were for this. Did you have conversations with folks on the ethics committee about bringing this before commission?
I did not, because as I stated earlier, our law director had informed us at our very first meeting not to have conversations with one another for possible violations of sunshine law.
Well,
Mr. Stewart was...
We just had another member of the ethics committee come up and speak to this. How did she decide to come up and speak to this?
Because she called me and asked if it would be appropriate for her to come and speak, and I told her sure.
She called you, but you just said to my previous question that you had not had a conversation with anyone on the ethics committee. Now, which is the truth? Did you have a conversation with her, or did you not have a conversation with her?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. I had a conversation with her about coming down, but did we talk about this policy? You called and said, I want to speak. May I come and speak? And I said, sure, I'd love to have you come. Did we speak about this policy?
My
No.
interpretation of the sunshine law is not that you violated the sunshine law, but it just seems awful funny. Why didn't you bring this to the ethics committee and vote with your ethics committee of, hey, let's us as a committee send this to county commission asking for this charge? Why did you do it on your own? And you say there's some that support it, yet you also say you haven't had conversations with them. It sounds to me like a few of you guys have gotten aside and decided that you're going to ask for this power, something that you didn't discuss in your committee with your other members.
Well, Mr. Lambert, I would agree with you that you and I have a disagreement on what the sunshine law says. We didn't get together and have lunch, and we didn't get together and do all of the things that has been reported that other people have done. But let me also say this. If you have an allegation against me that I am not being truthful for this committee, you have an obligation to take it to the Attorney General. You have an obligation to bring it before the Ethics Committee. You have an obligation to know. You have made that statement here today, and you have an obligation to do that, and I am very happy to do it in open meeting, on television, and doing all of the things that I need to do.
I'm not saying that you did anything wrong when you had conversations with people of the Ethics Committee.
I haven't had conversations with them about it.
Calling the kettle black here.
No, Ms. Waller asked if she could appear, and that's it. And that's the only conversation that I've had. Again, if he feels that he's done so, I challenge you to bring me up. I'm more than happy to meet with anybody, anywhere, anytime.
I contend you didn't do anything wrong, and I contend that you know that the rest of us, if we have a conversation, aren't doing anything wrong. Your grandstanding is.
I got a call. I think I'll
call
make a call for the question because I think everybody here knows how they're going to vote. So, first thing we're voting on: substitute motion to defer it or send it to the law director to check it out throughout the state of Tennessee and come back with a recommendation, or his recommendation, what should be done in 60 days. So I guess we ought to take a roll call because I'm sure there'll be for and against. We'll start tonight this.
Commissioner Pinkston? Commissioner Green? No. Commissioner Huddleston? Commissioner Ballard? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith? Commissioner Lambert?
Aye.
Commissioner Haywood?
Aye.
Commissioner Frank Lukode?
No.
Commissioner Craig Lukode?
No.
Commissioner Hammond? Commissioner Trammell?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay?
No.
Commissioner Ivan Harmon? Commissioner Norman?
No.
Commissioner Boas?
Aye.
Commissioner Mark Harmon?
No.
Commissioner Strickland? No. Commissioner Jordan?
No.
Okay, the substitute motion fails with 13 noes and 6 ayes. So we're back on the original motion.
Mr. Chairman, I have a substitute motion I'd like to try.
Okay, Commissioner Cate.
I don't see why we can't go down both of these roads at one time. I don't know, and Commissioner Hammond and I have had this discussion, that we need to empower this committee formally to do anything. Some agree and some don't, Ms. Waller. If we just said to the Ethics Committee, would you guys go work on a policy and bring us the recommendations, I would assume that you all would do that. One. Two, at the same time, we could be gathering information from across the state and have it all at one time so we could look at it. And I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Clarification, Mr. Chairman. So Mr. Cate's motion is to simply add to the existing motion that the law director should gather information on ethics codes around the state?
Well, it is to send to the Ethics Committee a request to look at some things. They don't need to, I don't think
That's the current
empowerment or anything like that needs to be used.
That's the current motion, to have them look at these matters and come back in November.
Resolutions is to empower them in some way. I don't know what that means.
That's a big difference.
It says here, I think, we're instructing the ethics panel. to make-
Requesting the Ethics Committee to send us recommendations if they so desire. Of course, we'd have to vote on it.
Law director would like to speak about it.
First of all, I represent this body, and I represent the Ethics Committee as well, and advise the Ethics Committee. And certainly as part of my duties in advising the Ethics Committee, if you instruct them to review and make recommendations regarding improvements or clarifications to the policy, first thing I'm going to do is to go and see what the other counties have done in the state. So, with that said, I want them to have full knowledge of what everybody else has done. I have some other information, too, I'd be glad to share with the Ethics Committee, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, if they are empowered to study it and to review it. Right now, as we've talked about on many occasions, I do not believe that they have the power to make recommendations to this body, to spend their time doing that. There's nothing within their authority that grants them that power. And so that's why this matter is brought before this body, is to give them the opportunity to do that. And basically the jurisdiction, the power, the authority to do that. That's quite a responsibility for the Ethics Committee. That's quite a bit of work. And I think it just takes more. It certainly takes an act of this body in order to do that.
Commissioner Lambert.
Let me withdraw that if we're going to have a legal battle about it. I mean, I just don't get it, John. These are citizens of this county that pay taxes. Anybody can walk to that microphone and say anything to us they want to, I thought.
They can, and as Ms. Waller did tonight, she did. But as a committee, they need to have the authority to do what they do. And their authority under the policy that was passed by this commission is to investigate, to receive and investigate complaints, and to make recommendations as a result of their investigation. That's it. That's all it allows.
I withdraw.
I think, if what we want to do is strengthen the ethics policy, we've got a strength right now. Today, when we had our meeting with the chamber, I didn't eat their lunch. I can live by the rules, and I understand if we're not going to take nothing, that's the way I feel. I haven't done anything since all this started happening. I don't eat people's lunch. I don't have them buy me lunch. I don't buy the people lunch anymore. And if that's just a safe way to do business. And if that's, instead of trying to change things, if we want to tighten it, it's pretty daggone tight right now. And I can tell you that everybody's watching us. And so the best thing in my thought is just don't take anything. I don't go out and do anything. If I do it on my own dime. And maybe that's what we ought to do. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree. Just don't do anything, and it'll keep you out of trouble. But, Mr. Law Director, then it is up to this body to make the necessary adjustments to our ethics policy, to give it some teeth, to give the Ethics Commission guidelines. So why don't we, as a commission, come up with a committee to do this, instead of putting it on the Ethics Commission, where you so eloquently pointed out that they don't have the power to do this. This is our job. Then why don't commission have, Mr. Chairman, you can appoint, we can vote, whatever we want to do is put some people in a committee to study what's being done around the state, to go look at it, and then bring it back to the Ethics Commission. or bring it back to this body.
If that's a motion, I'll second.
So if we're charged to do it, let's do it. It's not easy decisions we have to make, and that's why we make the big bucks. So let's earn them.
Is that a motion?
Mr. Law Director.
And I second.
Mr. Law Director, we not accept the state's ethics committee laws?
What we did, we adopted the policy that was the model policy that CTAS came up with. That's what we did, which is now on file with the state Secretary of State.
But this would be a completely separate body. This would be the Ethics Policy Committee.
Would this be a subcommittee of it?
That would satisfy me. The main thing I don't want is I don't want to have a body come up with policy and also enforce the policy. It would satisfy me if we had two separate committees.
Commissioner Hammond.
Just very briefly, you already have a committee, and their law director has already said by passing this resolution, you give them the authority to do that. These are people that you've already selected.
Okay, Commissioner Harmon.
Sometimes you need your friends to tell you what's wrong, or your constituents, or your wife to tell you that tie doesn't work at all. You need outsiders. We have a committee that has two commissioners on it and some outsiders. All we're asking them to do is make a recommendation, series of recommendations that we are free to ignore or change. I still don't see what's, and I know that Commissioner Lambert, you're hung up on this idea about enforcement and making, again, we do this all the time. The federal government has committees that recommend judges pay, and they don't automatically go into force. They have to be voted on by Congress. This is merely a recommendation. We can do it. Let's go back to Commissioner Hammond's original motion and just take a straight up or down vote on it.
What do you have against creating another committee? And we could have another committee.
We don't need two committees.
We could have another committee that doesn't have a single person serving in government on it. We could have a real committee of citizens and not politicos. We could have a committee without anybody that's elected on it. What would be the matter with having a real committee of average citizens making recommendations for the policy rather than going back to this committee?
Because we're playing a shell game.
And this committee, by the way, there are politicos on this committee that have axes to grind with individuals that are being petty. I know there's one man that we would not appoint him to the Industrial Development Board because of nepotism, because his son was on the city's Industrial Development Board, and that gentleman has done nothing but criticize this commission. Now, I don't think he's taken his charge seriously, and I don't think that he's being impartial when every word that he says in the paper is against this commission. I think that if we're going to have somebody advise us on ethical policies, that it needs to be a clean, independent group, not a group of politicos with axes to grind. I think we need citizens.
We know by now that politics is what the other guys do and honest public policy is what you do. That's everybody's definition. So let's get real about this, okay? We have a commission. It's fine. Let it make a recommendation. And by all means, let's stop the personal attacks on the members of it. Let's just argue about what the best policy is.
I agree completely.
You just engaged in some.
Okay, we've got a
I just pointed out that there have been personal attacks against this body made by a member. That is bringing it to the attention of folks that this ethics committee is not of snow white folks. There's people out there with political axes to grind, and it's as political as anything in this government. And if we're going to have someone recommend a policy, let's get a new committee, an independent committee of all citizens.
I was Snow White once, but I drifted. And let me just say, we all have drifted. Let us just put this group of citizens, let's give them the opportunity to do their work. Let's evaluate their work. Let's return to the original motion and pass it.
All right, let's get ready to vote. I think we're all ready. Commissioner,
we're on a substitute motion already.
Yeah, Commissioner.
Would you repeat the motion again, please?
Commissioner Trammell's substitute motion is to create a committee. Lee, go ahead and tell us how you want it set up.
It's your motion.
How many members?
I was just asking simply if that's what you were trying to do. So I would understand it. I think what you would need to do, though, is
you need to come up with a number. A committee of 5 from this body to bring to the full body clarification on our ethics policy, teeth, and enforcement, rules and regulations to be followed by all Knox County employees and elected officials.
And how would the committee be set up? I mean, who's going to pick the commission?
Mr. Chairman, that's your job.
Commissioner,
Well,
second that.
I'm okay with that.
I mean, I thought you made the second when he made the motion.
Well, no, I mean, I've got a, if this one fails, I've got another motion to bring that we do a body of no elected officials.
All right, is there any more discussion? We'll vote it. Five from this body is what Commissioner Trammell's motion is. And I guess we need to do roll call starting in the 9th District. A vote yes would appoint a new committee. A vote no would mean we go back to the original motion.
Commissioner Pinkston,
No.
Commissioner Green,
No.
Commissioner Huddleston, Commissioner Ballard,
No.
Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
I was reminded of a great commissioner once that said, "This isn't Candyland. Don't like it, start all over." So I vote no.
Commissioner Lambert,
Yes.
Commissioner Kaywood. Yes. Commissioner Frank Lutho, Commissioner Craig Lutho,
No.
Commissioner Hammond, Commissioner Trammell, Commissioner Kate, Commissioner Ivan Harmon, Commissioner Norman,
No.
Commissioner Harmon, Mark Harmon,
No.
Commissioner Strickland, Commissioner Jordan.
No.
Pass this to vote.
I have a question.
Hang on, let's announce the...
Well, I may want to change my vote depending on the answer to this question.
Well, okay, go ahead and ask your question.
If I'm on the losing side of this, can I still bring a substitute motion, or do I need to be on the winning side of this?
You can bring substitute motion, I think, from either side.
Okay.
We just thinking about losing too.
Okay. We had 13 noes and 5 ayes, so the motion fails.
Question on the original motion.
Back to the original motion.
I've got a substitute motion.
I call for a question on the original motion.
And he had his light on. Commissioner Kate.
I'm going to try one more time. Substitute motion that incorporates both Commissioner Trammell and Commissioner Hammond's motion.
And how would that be done? I mean,
Done independently with the committee of here and exactly what Commissioner Hammond wanted to do on the ethics committee. So we've got
so
two.
that you'd have two different committees working on the same thing.
Right.
Okay. Just want to make sure I understand.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Lambert. Okay. Starting in the 9th. Ready to vote.
Commissioner Pinkston, Commissioner Green,
No.
Commissioner Huddleston, Commissioner Ballard, Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Lambert,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaywood, Commissioner Frank Lutho,
No.
Commissioner Craig Lutho,
No.
Commissioner Hammond, Commissioner Trammell, Commissioner Kate,
All right.
Commissioner Ivan Harmon, Commissioner Norman,
No.
Commissioner Bolas, Commissioner Mark Harmon,
No.
Commissioner Strickland, Commissioner Jordan.
No.
Call for the vote on the original question.
I've got a substitute motion.
Let's, Mr. Law Director, you might have to advise him through this one. I think Commissioner Ballard, did you make a motion?
Call for the question.
Call for the question. So I think we have to have a vote on call for the question. So if you don't want any more debate on this, then you vote yes. And you gotta have 2/3 majority. You gotta have 13 votes. So we'll start in the 9th District. Now, Mr. Law Director, a vote yes means you don't want any more discussion. Vote no means you want to discuss it more. Commissioner Kaywood.
The question, with the original question, the law director said he would find out what has gone on throughout the state and present that to the Ethics Committee so they can consider that.
That's not.
That's right.
That's what you said you'll do.
That's what I said I'll do, absolutely.
Okay. 9th District.
Commissioner Pinkston. Commissioner Green.
Aye.
Commissioner Huddleston. Commissioner Ballard. Commissioner Moore.
Nope.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Lambert.
No.
Commissioner Kaywood.
Aye.
Commissioner Frank Luthold.
Aye.
Commissioner Craig Luthold.
Aye.
Commissioner Hammond. Commissioner Trammell.
No.
Commissioner Kate.
Aye.
Commissioner Ivan Harmon. Commissioner Norman.
Yes.
Commissioner Bolas.
Aye.
Commissioner Mark Harmon.
Aye.
Commissioner Strickland. Commissioner Jordan.
No.
Okay. We had 13 ayes and 6 noes. Motion passed. Back on the original motion, exactly what's in your book. 905 as it reads. And starting the 9th District.
Commissioner Pinkston. Commissioner Green. Commissioner Huddleston. Commissioner Ballard. Commissioner Moore.
No.
Commissioner Smith. Commissioner Lambert.
No.
Commissioner Kaywood.
How is this different than the one that we just previously?
That was just a call for the question.
Yes.
Commissioner Frank Luthold.
Aye.
Commissioner Craig Luthold.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammond. Commissioner Trammell.
Mr. Law Director, you said they don't have the power to do that. They're not allowed to make recommendations to this body. Is that right?
By this resolution, you're giving them the power to do that.
Aye.
Aye. No.
Commissioner Kate.
Aye.
Commissioner Ivan Harmon. Commissioner Norman.
Yes.
Commissioner Bolas. Yes. Commissioner Mark Harmon.
Aye.
Commissioner Strickland. Commissioner Jordan.
Aye.
Okay, 16 ayes and 3 noes, so motion passes. Next item.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, thank you, Commissioners. I'd like to withdraw number 906 at this time and perhaps bring it back later, if that's what we're looking at.
Make a motion, we just go ahead and do it. I mean, let's just give them the whole ball of wax. We're here to give
If
them.
you would like, I was just going to give an opportunity to bring it back later, giving the Commission or the Ethics Panel the opportunity to go ahead and work on this one and then perhaps work on nepotism at a later date, but...
Second.
I make a substitute motion, we'll hear it today and vote on it. Let them do it together. I mean, if we're going to do it, let's get it done. Move it to the same time to be back by November 1st. Do I have a second? Second by Commissioner Ivan Harmon. Any more discussion? Commissioner Kaywood, Commissioner Pinkston. It's to approve to let the ethics policy come up with a nepotism policy.
The only change is November 1st.
This is to approve it and changing the date from October 1st to November 1st.
Wouldn't this be covered under the 905?
Well, let's just give it good clarification to them. I mean, I tried to do this a couple months ago, and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I just don't know what to think. Because I was the bad guy for doing it, and we're praising other people for doing it. So let's just give them the whole ball of wax. Any more discussion, Commissioner Lambert?
I'm just curious, if they come back with a nepotism policy saying that if you have family that works for county government, that you can't serve on commission, does that mean we're going to have to make more appointments? Because last time we did that, we got in all kinds of trouble.
Well, I hope they deal with misuse of money too, so. Any more discussion? Let the law director, he's got a comment.
Just as a point of clarification, the Ethics Committee, as it presently exists, their terms expire at the end of this August. And so next month, I'm sure it will be before you and for the mayor, certainly for discussion as well, as to who will be named to the Ethics Committee. If anyone is to be changed, they will be the ones who will be determining these, or who will be making these recommendations.
Would that be a full committee turnover, Mayor, or is this just a couple, 2 or 3?
It's a full committee.
It's a full.
The full committee rolls over?
But does the mayor's appointments, as far as I know, everybody has to be ratified by the commission?
You asked me to pull it out.
Maybe we should start thinking about it.
And this nepotism policy will be recommendations to this body. How can it reach into the trustee's office or the sheriff's office and tell those officials how to run that?
Because the state legislature said that we did. They have applied it to every elected official, every department of Knox County government. They have applied it to utility companies. The state legislature said that this legislation applies, that whenever you have a policy, that the policy applies to utility companies and to every elected official, department, and employee of Knox County government. And with the city, it would be the same with all cities.
So if a department has a nepotism policy in place already, this will override it?
Oh, I thought we were talking about our
nepotism
policy. The state did not address nepotism policy, okay?
Yeah.
Now, the state had one that was before the legislature this past year, and it was either defeated or withdrawn, but it was, I believe, intended to restrict county commissioners from both serving as an employee of Knox County and as a commissioner. Not just Knox County, it was going to be statewide.
And it failed. But if this body comes up with a nepotism policy, will it override what an elected official already has in place?
There are some elected, I understand the question, there are some elected officials that have nepotism policies. I know that the mayor has a policy. And basically what it does is it provides that you can't supervise, a member of your family. And it's a pretty distant relation, I believe, in the mayor's policy. What you have asked the Ethics Committee to do is to recommend a policy to the Commission, the way I understand it, as applies to Knox County Commission, not the other departments.
Well, if the ethics policy is going to apply to all teachers, county employees, as I said, would this not too?
Yes.
This is not a requirement of state law, all right? And I'll have to look at that and see as to whether this body can then impose a nepotism policy on the other officials. Could you impose a nepotism policy on the utility companies? And I think not.
Absolutely.
And they are part of the
we can impose one on the school board.
And they are part of the enabling legislation, however, because they are subject to our policy, believe it or not. So we'll have to look at that.
Okay, are we ready to vote? You ready to vote? Okay, we'll try it by vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Put me down for a vote. 18 ayes and 1 no. Motion passes. Clerk, next item.
Resolution 909. This is a resolution requiring Knox County to accurately report Knox County employees' Social Security earnings records according to law.
Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Mark Harmon. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Who's second?
Mr. Chairman,
Josh Jordan.
this is to approve that. Our law director says that we should never do that. I would move a substitute motion to withdraw this thing on advice of the law department that this is very, very dangerous, and was not drafted by the law department. It was drafted by an individual and has major consequences. And on his advice, this thing needs to be withdrawn from the agenda.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? But remember, we just talked about the citizens having a right to come up here and talk. And a citizen wrote a letter and asked us to put it on the agenda. So, any more discussion?
I would just quickly say, as the author of the motion, that sometimes law directors are wrong, as bright as they are, and I think he's wrong on this one.
Okay. All in favor of substitute motion to withdraw, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Any other no's besides Commissioner Mark Harmon? Motion passes. We're on 9010 on page 16.
910. This is a resolution requesting the Knox County District Attorney General to investigate at the appropriate time the circumstances involving Mr. Quettabone and other matters.
Do we have a motion to approve? Or I guess I need to do committees first. Intergovernmental?
Intergovernmental voted 7101 to approve with an amendment.
Finance Committee? Do we have a motion to approve? Motion to approve by Commissioner. It was, I think the amendment was to add other individuals, not just putting Ms. Moans on there by herself. Any other person who needs to be investigated, the Attorney General does that. Motion made by Commissioner Hood. We have a second. Second by Commissioner Trammell. Any discussion? Commissioner Strickland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to go on record stating that I'm against this resolution because I don't think we need to tell Randy Nichols how to do his job or the sheriff. I think it's going to pass, so Lee Trim will do the job.
Okay. Commissioner Kay.
I agree with Commissioner Strickland, and I'll try a substitute motion to withdraw it.
Have a second. Second by Commissioner Strickland. Any discussion? I guess we've still got some lights on. Commissioner Hammond.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'm wanting some clarification as to what the state comptroller is going to do. I'm understanding, from what I understand, the state comptroller is looking at this. The state comptroller will be making recommendations, and the recommendations the comptroller makes would be to proceed with possible wrongdoing or prosecution, I guess is the correct term.
Let me tell you this. I have had a communication with the state comptroller's office. I know our county auditor has had several communications with the comptroller's office. I intend to meet with the comptroller very soon over the previous audit, and the audit I believe that the mayor has through tomorrow to finalize his response. The comptroller has not made any recommendations yet. I don't know if the comptroller will, but I intend to have a conversation with the comptroller's office face-to-face to see if they will make recommendations. I know that, again, that they've had communications with Mr. Walls, and have assisted him with the audit. With that said, you know, we're not far enough down the road yet to really comment any further.
Commissioner Norman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Commissioner Strickland. And I think this, well, actually what I think is Ms. Bone has obviously made some mistakes. She's paid dearly, and I think it's almost shameful, the process that's taken place, and I don't think it becomes our government.
Commissioner Pinkston?
I feel sorry for Ms. Bone. We're not just on Ms. Bone here. We're including these other people. But we've got down here at the appropriate time. We're not voting to send this through immediately, but the public out here wants to see that we're doing something about these charges that seems to be illegal. Now, some of these people are the same as the best, in my opinion, when they start paying and then resigning. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's up to us to see that the taxpayers' dollars are protected, and if these people have done wrong, they need to be prosecuted. And we're not talking about right now. We're talking about the appropriate time. So we need to go ahead with this at the appropriate time.
Okay, I just want to clarify something that Commissioner Norman said, that Ms. Bones had paid back. I think there's some additional things that she hasn't paid back that's come in credit card statements after she departed Knox County government. So just to clarify that not everybody's paid back everything they've owed so far. Commissioner Lambert.
You know, and Mr. Trammell, you work in law enforcement. How many people are in prison that would gladly pay the money back if they could just get out of being charged? Now, if somebody accidentally charged a glass of wine that might have been appropriate at their previous job and it's not appropriate now, you know, that's a situation where simply paying back is appropriate. But if somebody willingly and knowingly charges something on their county credit card that they know is not appropriate, that's theft. That is committing theft. And when they're stealing from Knox County, they're stealing from mobile meals, they're stealing from our schools, they're stealing from our libraries, and they need to be prosecuted. And I'm not just talking about Ms. Bone, and I'm not sure the details of her situation and whether criminal intent was there, but I believe that all of the situation with these credit cards needs to be looked into to see if there was criminal intent on any of these employees' part. And if there was, they need to be prosecuted, but I don't necessarily think that needs to be handled in Knox County. I think that what we need to do is get this into another body, either the state comptroller, either the FBI or the TBI. It needs to be in the hands of some investigative body outside of Knox County to determine who did what, because no matter what we do here, people are going to accuse us of doing the wrong thing. If people are going to accuse us of trying to cover up for our friends because we're all serving in government together, or they're going to say, oh, we're just going after our enemies because there are different political factions in county government. So I think that county government needs to push this into somebody else's hands. I think we need to send this to the comptroller, to the FBI, to the TBI, some other body to investigate this and ask them to prosecute the folks who did something wrong. Because if someone maliciously and knowingly stole from Knox County government, then they've stolen from all of the people of Knox County. And so I think they need to be prosecuted for it, but I think we need to send this to somebody else to do that prosecution.
Okay, Commissioner Kate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I understand the way things work, back to Commissioner Hammond's question, the state comptroller will do an audit. That will go to General Nichols. At that point, General Nichols will review it. At that point, General Nichols reviews it. If there's criminal wrongdoing there, he will send it back to Nashville. They will appoint a special prosecutor since we fund some of his budget. He does not feel like he can do that, and I understand that. I just take a little issue with us trying to tell the Attorney General how to do his job. I don't think we need to tell him nor Sheriff Jones how they need to do anything. And I don't think there's any investigation to be done until the audit's done.
Okay, Commissioner Pinkston.
Well, I'm just going to have to go along with Commissioner Lambert here, but you've got to realize we can't say this is a mistake And it was just time after time after time that they've done these charges. Now, we know that these people have done wrong, or they would have not started writing checks after the fact. How did they know? If I made a mistake, I don't wait until somebody draws my attention to it. But they automatically started writing checks just like this, is my understanding from what we've seen. And all we're doing is saying it's appropriate time. Now, the appropriate time may be when the comptroller comes back, but we need to be sure that the Attorney General or somebody looks into these facts and get it straightened out. Now, when, I don't know. Can you tell me when the appropriate time is? Personally, right now, I think it's the appropriate time. But we're voting to send this to him at the appropriate time to be sure that he follows through with it.
All right. The only question I have, and this I don't know, I'll just ask Mr. Mayor because it's your employees. Is anybody in your office still receiving your auto travelers?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, unless I'm missing something, someone knows.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Tramley?
Yeah, I think appropriate time is, I mean, there's three phases, and I'm sure everybody knows here, of this audit. One is the auto allowance, one is the P-card use, and the other one is the Knox hospitality count. So, Mr. Walls, did he? Oh, I see him now. How close are you on you're finished with the auto allowance, right? And you're waiting a response.
That's correct.
And now we're in the P-cards.
That's
and
correct.
Do you have an idea when this one may be finished?
Not at this time. No, it's ongoing.
Have you started on Knox hospitality yet?
Barely.
Barely. So you're running two at once with your limited staff. Okay. All right. So the appropriate time, I believe, and this is going to be when these things are back. Now, if we're going to do them one at a time and send the auto allowance down to the comptroller, and I guess that's what we're going to do, send it down and see what the state comptroller says about this, and then the P cards are going to come. And I think that's probably going to be a battle royale right here, because I'm sure there's charges that they feel are appropriate, and there's going to be charges that we feel aren't appropriate. You know, and that's for us to duke it out over. And then the Knox hospitality account, and then that will go down separately. So, as I understand it, there's going to be three different appropriate times that these hit the state comptroller. And then once he sends them back to you, do you then make recommendations as to where they go from there?
I'm not sure what we're going to do at that point right now. We've not gotten to that point, Commissioner. Right now, what we have is we're waiting on a response. Once we receive that response, we're going to talk to the comptroller about it, see if they have any further recommendations, and then we're going to decide what we need to do from that standpoint. And that is only related right now to the travel expenditures. We haven't gotten, like as you say, we haven't gotten to the other issues yet.
Thank you.
Any more questions? If we're ready to vote, all in favor say aye.
Would you restate the motion, please?
This is a substitute motion to withdraw.
Do what? Commissioner Kane?
This is a substitute motion to withdraw.
Substitute motion to withdraw. So,
Seconded by Commissioner.
yes, so vote aye is to withdraw, vote no is go back to this original motion in Resolution 19. So all in favor of withdrawing say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We'll do roll call starting in the night.
Commissioner Pinkston?
All the amendment, right?
Yes, to withdraw.
Repeat the amendment. What was the amendment?
The amendment is to withdraw Resolution 910 from our agenda.
To withdraw the whole thing.
That's a resolution, not just an amendment.
Withdraw the
Yeah, the motion is to withdraw the whole resolution.
Yes.
No.
Okay. Commissioner Green?
No.
Commissioner Houston? Commissioner Ballard? Commissioner Moore?
No.
Commissioner Smith? Commissioner Lambert? Commissioner Kaywood?
No.
Commissioner Frank Lithode? Commissioner Craig Lithode?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammond, Commissioner Trammell, Commissioner Kate, Commissioner Ivan Harmon, Commissioner Norman,
Yes.
Commissioner Boas, Commissioner Mark Harmon,
Yes.
Commissioner Strickland,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan.
Yes. Anybody wish to change their vote? Okay, we had 10 noes and 9 ayes, so the motion fails. We're back on the original motion. The vote on Resolution 910. So we ready to vote? Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
No.
We'll do roll call, starting.
Commissioner Pinkston, Commissioner Green, Commissioner Huddleston, Commissioner Ballard, Commissioner Moore,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Lambert,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaywood, Commissioner Frank Luthold, Commissioner Craig Luthold, Commissioner Hammond, Commissioner Trammell, Commissioner Kate, Commissioner Ivan Harmon, Commissioner Norman,
No.
Commissioner Boas,
Yes.
Commissioner Mark Harmon,
Pass.
Commissioner Strickland,
No.
Commissioner Jordan.
No. Does anybody in the past wish to vote? Anybody want to change their vote? Seeing none. Okay, we had 10 ayes, 6 noes, and 3 passes. So the motion passes. Okay, I guess we're on ordinances on first reading.
Ordinance 101, this is consideration of an ordinance of the Commission of Knox County, Tennessee, amending Section 2-762 of the Knox County Code. This is ordinance number O-02-7-101, subsection 2B, 82602. It's first reading.
Intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental voted 8001 to approve.
Finance Committee. Motion made by Commissioner Pinkston,
Second.
second by Commissioner Norman. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Ayes have it.
Ordinance 102, this is amending Section 2-822 of the Knox County Code. Ordinance number O-02-7-101, subsection 6B, 82602.
Intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental voted 8001 to approve with amendment.
Finance Committee.
Second.
Does anybody remember what the amendment was? Law Director?
The amendment was by Commissioner Frank Luthold, and what we have done is we have rewritten this change to incorporate that amendment. And what it does is this, you have a 5-person personnel board, and one personnel board member is selected by the elected county officials that are participants in the plan. Currently, we do not have participants that are county elected official participants who are members of the plan. Commissioner Luthold wanted to certainly leave it out there to encourage county elected officials to participate in the county plan instead of having their own personnel plan. And so we wrote this to allow this body, first of all, to make the appointment if there weren't at least two elected county officials who could select the 5th member of the personnel board. If there aren't at least 2 elected county officials that are participants in the plan, and that wish to make an appointment to the Personnel Board, then this commission will make the appointment. If at a future time we have elected county officials, at least 2, that are participants in our plan, then when either a vacancy occurs for that board member's position or at the end of that board member's term, then those elected officials that participate in the plan will have another opportunity to make the appointment. If they failed to act at that point, then the county commission would again have the authority to make that appointment. That's what it changes.
Okay, we got a motion to approve. Any more discussion? No more discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Passage unanimous. Next item.
Ordinance 103 is adopting the stormwater management ordinance.
Governmental.
Intergovernmental voted 7101 to defer for 30 days. Second.
Second by Commissioner Tony Norman. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
No.
Commissioner Smith votes no. Motion passes. Ordinance is on second reading.
Ordinance 103 is amending Knox County Code Section 2-2B, ordinance number O-90-9-123, subsection 1-3, 9, 10, 90, ordinance number O-02-8-104, subsection 1, 9, 2302.
Intergovernmental.
Voted to approve 7101.
Finance Committee.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I would once again remind you that this is in effect backdating travel policies in several key offices to September 10th, 1990. It's ultimate black box voting, approving God knows what happened. I think the phrase the law director used in a previous circumstance, non-correctable error, applies here, and I would urge to vote against.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
No. Passed.
Pass. Commissioner Luke votes passes. Commissioner Mark Harmon votes no. Motion passes. Clerk, next item.
Ordinance 104 is amending Knox County Code Section 2-712 as previously adopted by Ordinance 05-4-101 on 5/23/05.
Intergovernmental.
Intergovernmental voted 80012.
Finance Committee. Procurement.
Procurement voted 4-0. Motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Norman. Any discussion? Commissioner Bowles?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to speak briefly in support of this ordinance. Is Hugh Holden here at this time? Somebody else may be able to answer this. I've gone back and looked in the last 20-some years, and I guess one of the reasons I look at this because this school was a school at one time, Brownlow School, which sits in the 2nd District, is now went by there this morning like I have many times in that building, and I'm not throwing rocks at anybody. I'm making a point here. That building is still sitting empty, and there's nothing that's been done with it. I'm wondering if this had been effect, this ordinance, if this would have ever come about. I don't know, but logic tells me that it may have reduced the chance of that. I just want to urge everyone here to please take careful consideration of this and voting and supporting this.
Okay. Commissioner Pinkston.
I would like to amend that to include a conversion policy in these RFPs. If these people don't meet the contract, then that property comes back to Knox County. Because the gentleman that we give that RFP to out there, he met none of the obligations that he agreed to, and he turned around and sold that school for $125,000 profit. So if they can't meet their contract, we need a conversion clause in these things where it comes back to Knox County like KCDC has.
Mr. Law Director, is that?
Yeah, I mean, what we've done is we've looked at those on a case-by-case basis as to whether that would be something that we would want to do as a body, we would want to do as a county. I would be hesitant, certainly, to recommend that we have that made as part of our policy in every case that we provide for a reversionary clause. The folks who have dealt with property longer than I've been alive that have advised county government on a number of property issues would, I believe, not recommend that we had reversionary clauses that property would come back to Knox County. It might have liens on it. It might come with all kinds of goodies that we weren't expecting. So it's just one of those matters that we might want to look at on a case-by-case basis to see if that's something that we would want to do. I would be very hesitant to include that as part of this code. It may be something we want to discuss every time a property issue comes up as part of the method of sale and how we want the transfer to take place.
Mr. Law Director?
Yes, sir.
Something, maybe that's not what we need, I'm not a lawyer, but we need something to protect the taxpayers of Knox County.
Yes, sir.
We send these RFPs out, usually they're buying this property at a reduced price. And so if we're not going to auction it off, then we need something to protect the citizens of Knox County where if these people don't meet their agreements, that it comes back to us. Maybe we need to move our agreements up a little faster and put in there that they cannot acquire any more liens on the property than the one that's first acquired or something. But we need something to protect these citizens out here. It's not right to let people make $125,000 off the taxpayers' back out here. And that's what they did on this Brownlow School over here. And it's still sitting over there right now, sold about 3 times since the county sent an RFP out, and it's still just exactly like it was, except in worse condition than when the county sold it. I don't know what to do, but I'm going to look for your leadership to do something to protect the taxpayers in Knox County.
Absolutely. For instance, in the last sale that this body just approved, we decided not to include a reversionary clause, and that's the property over here, the old New Sentinel property. Basically, we didn't want it back. We didn't want to take the chance that it would have liens, or perhaps, someone decided to go ahead and start building and decided that maybe the deal wasn't as sweet as they thought it was, or they didn't want to follow through with the deal, something to that effect, and might end up costing the taxpayers more money to have a reversionary clause. So it's just something that needs to be looked at on a case-by-case basis.
Could you put it in there as first option?
We can write a sales contract, certainly, so long as you have both sides agreeing. That's what the terms are. But we can look at that as well.
Okay. Commissioner Bowles, your light's on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to reiterate that is that area, 4th and Gill, it is a beautiful, beautiful neighborhood, and that is a neighborhood. That building, as Commissioner Pinkston was saying, my understanding is some of the restrictions were lost long before I came about, but I'm not sure if this will completely eliminate the problem, but hopefully it reduces the chance that I hate to see this happen again.
Okay. Commissioner Pinkston, did you have a substitute motion? Did you get a second on it?
I don't know whether they got a second or not. We just put the conversion clause in there. If they didn't fulfill their obligation to come back, the property would come back to the county. But the law director is stressed no on that, so I think that probably we need to go along with his advice. But I'm going to say this. I think that any time one of these come up before us, he needs to give us some good advice on whether to.
That's the only time there is.
Okay.
All I'm looking at is that the taxpayers out here, here you had somebody that made $5,000 in the building just like it was. And the reason we sold it to him was he was supposed to fulfill an obligation on to redo that building and make the neighborhood nice over there. And it's in worse shape now than it was when the county owned it.
Okay. Any more discussion? Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Passes unanimous. We have a couple people signed up for public forum. Rick Davis. Oh, hang on, we got one more. Oh, yeah.
Ordinance 105, this is amending Section 2-478A of the Knox County Code, which is ordinance number O-03-4-101, subsection 1, on 52703.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second by Commissioner Green. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Passes unanimous. We have a couple people signed up for public forum. The first one, Mr. Rick Davis. Mr. Rick Davis here. Rick Davis, if you'll give us your name and address for the record. At times 5:15. You have up to 5 minutes.
My name is Ricky Davis. I live at 6810 Truesdale Road, Knoxville, Tennessee. The reason I'm here today is because the lack of ethics of Bill Swan. I went to court September 28, 2005, trying to get custody of my kids. My ex-wife had been physically abusing them, and Swan never did nothing about it. But when I'm trying to introduce evidence and all, it's a tape of which proves she was perjuring herself and all that, and all the information too. Swan states this here, quote, "I do not really care. And when the judge don't care, something's wrong. When kids are physically abused and he neglects physical abuse, I filed a complaint against him against the Board of Judiciary. My wife admitted in court hitting my kids. I testified in court and seeing her beat my kid with a closed fist, and he dismissed the order of protection because he didn't do nothing, because he don't care about kids. And like I say, I filed a complaint with him in the Board of Judiciary, and I got transcripts where she's admitting hitting and me testifying and all that. His response, his statement back to the Board of Judiciary was there was insufficient evidence to issue order of protection for kids. She continues to physically abuse my kids, and DCS finally went in and did an investigation, and they found, yes, they were being physically abused, and that's ridiculous. When the judge don't care, something's wrong. My 10-year-old son threw a knife at his mother. She's been physically abusing and all that stuff. And I go to court, try to get custody of my kids. They didn't even come up and take time away from me for my parenting time. And like I say, he threw a knife at her. I got evidence to prove every bit of this here. His own son, I got an article out of paper where his son basically won't have anything to do with him. The article said he had a strained relationship with his son. When a man's son don't have anything to do with him, that shows he ain't no good. I also have evidence where he was not paying his court-ordered child support. The judge was not paying child support for his own son. Something's wrong. Also, I've heard allegations that he beat his wife up. I've been trying to find where his court papers are, and what I basically found is they're hidden. Okay, his court papers will prove if he beat his wife up or not, because if it was filed for domestic violence or not. And this is a judge who's doing stuff to other people and stuff. And like I say, I have questions about his being incompetent. He's unethical. He lied to the Board of Judiciary. When I filed a complaint with the Board of Judiciary about it, he said that there's insufficient evidence. I got transcripts to prove it. And that's lying to the Board of Judiciary. He's incompetent, unethical, and a liar. The people in the Knox County deserve better than this. When my children are being physically abused and no one does anything about it, it's ridiculous. A child is a product of their environment. When you physically abuse children, that breeds physical violence. I say, my son was kicking his mother, and like I say, he threw a knife at her because of the way he was been treated. There are so many things I want to speak about, whatever, I have so much little time. I was in court, whatever, I'm trying to introduce evidence and all that stuff, and before I even got asked one question, the first thing he said was, I'm going to cut you off after a few questions. I was in court for an hour and a half for child custody. The previous case lasted for 29 days. They don't have the hour and hash time. And then when he, like I say, when he says, I don't really care when you try to introduce evidence, I think the people of Knox County deserve better than Judge Swan. He needs to be removed. And I asked the county commission to ask the appropriate people to do an investigation. I got documentation to prove everything I'm saying right now. So like I say, I'll thank everybody. And
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Okay, Alonzo Montgomery. Alonzo here? Okay, Hubert Smith. Mr. Smith, time is 5:20. You have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hubert Smith, P.O. Box 607, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37901. I find myself in an uncomfortable position today because generally when I'm here, my position is that of a member of the media to cover these meetings and not be a part of them. And one thing that we try to do is not make ourselves a part of the story. But unfortunately, I was put in this position to have to address you today. The timing of it is just coincidental, maybe beneficial to me, maybe not. I had asked your staff to put a copy of the letter that I was given on last Friday, and I hope that each of you received it. I'm going to read from it verbatim. It is addressed to me July 20th. Reason, employment with the clerk's office. Now let me say this, most of you probably didn't know that I even worked for the juvenile court clerk's office because I kept a clear firewall between my job and my politics and what else that I do in terms of working with the media. So what I'm going to say today may be eye-opening to some of you, maybe not. But the letter states this: reason, employment with clerk's office. Dear Hubert, I regret to inform you that effective immediately, you are hereby laid off until further notice. The county not only failed to fully fund our salary request, but eliminated the funds for your position. You are to leave the premises immediately. Your personal effects will be mailed to the above address. You are not to return to the premises of the Knox County Circuit, civil sessions, or juvenile court clerk's offices unless you have business with the courts. Sincerely, Catherine F. Twist, clerk of Knox County Circuit, civil sessions, and juvenile court. Now, circumstances surrounding this, what I know, and I'll tell you what I think. What I know is I've been employed with the Knox County Clerk's Office since March of 2001, I believe, and was employed until last Friday, according to this letter, July 20, 2007, about a 6-year term without interrupted service except for some extenuating illnesses. My evaluations have been exemplary. My work record has been good by all accounts of everybody that worked around me, maybe bar a few, but as you all have said, during your meeting, you're always going to find some people that will disagree with you for one reason or another. So I accept that. Nobody's 100%. At the end of the workday on Friday, I was handed this envelope by Charles Edmondson, who is an employee of Kathy Twist, and told me something to the effect of, I'm sorry they didn't fund your salary. I didn't quite get it when he first said something to me, because I thought he was referring to the $500 bonus that I think you all mandated during your budget that everybody making under $45,000 a year employed as of June 30th would get the $500 bonus, which I will post. You may be surprised to know I'm a 6-year employee at the clerk's office making less than $25,000 a year. Having said that, I came quickly to understand that he was saying, no, my position was being eliminated, because you, the county commission, as you can see in this letter, did not fund their salary request for my position. I was pretty much stunned, because as of June 30th, effective July 1, my salary position was in the budget, and I worked until July 20th thinking that it was fully funded. Nobody told me anything different. Now that's what I know. Oh, in addition, I was unable to clear anything out of my office, any personal effects. As you can see by letter, they said they would mail them to me and perp walked me out the door by Knox County Sheriff's deputy as if I'm some criminal. That's what I know. Okay. I asked him, well, when did you know about this? He said, oh, this morning. I said, well, why didn't you tell me this morning? Well, that's just the way that we do it. Speaking of, I imagine, the clerk of the juvenile court. So that's what I know. I'm here before you today because the way I read this, she puts the onus on you all for saying that you didn't fund a salary request. My position was in the request as of June 30th, and I think that you all funded everything that that office asked for, if not even a little bit more. So, I understand that you all don't do anything about employees, and so I'm not asking you to do anything for me necessarily as an employee, except the fact that I want to state this and get this on the record because I understand politics, and I can take a punch. But this is one definitely below the belt or any other extremity. But I'm not going to take it lying down, and so today I'm responding. And responding to you because it says you didn't fund my salary. So I look at it this way. I guess perhaps I should ask you to fund my salary since she said you didn't. Or perhaps this was a clerical error and this should have applied to somebody else. I don't know. I've told you what I know, but I'll tell you what I think. What I think is everything that we've read about since July 31st in terms of Knox County Commission and behaviors has gotten me caught up in an unintended way, at least for me anyway. You know, we live in an era now where everybody didn't go to journalism school as I did and other people did, and we have these citizen bloggers and everybody else that can do and write whatever they so choose. And I think in this case, that's exactly what happened, and wrote some things about someone. And someone thought that I was instrumental in that writing. Well, I'm here to tell you that I was not instrumental in that writing. The person who wrote it is a friend of mine. I don't choose my friends based on their politics. And what they write about somebody is no business of mine. But unfortunately, I believe that I have become a casualty of that. And so I guess that's my primary reason for coming before you today, to put it on the record. Did you not or did you not fund my position? I think you did. Did it take 20 days for this office to discover that my position was not funded, and have they now screwed me out of my $500 bonus? So that's pretty much it for me in terms of what I'd like to say. If anyone would like to ask me anything, I would be happy to entertain whatever question that you have and tell you what I know.
I do have a question.
Okay.
My light's been on here. Yeah, the curious thing to me is the date of this letter, which is, I believe, July 20th. Is that right?
Commissioner Harmon, if you have a copy of this.
Yeah, it says July 20th.
That is a copy of the letter I received on July 20th.
So if one is arguing that your position did not exist with fiscal year 2007, 2008, then that started July 1. Why the discrepancy in dates, I do not understand. And I think it lends some credence to your questions, if not your speculation, before us. That's why I thank you for putting forth that date.
I guess that will be up to the clerk of the juvenile court as to why, or perhaps some of her competent staff, as to why they took them 20 days to determine my position was not funded if it was not. I couldn't answer that question for you.
But thank you for raising that issue. It's important.
Hey, Commissioner Strickland. Hubert, how many people do your job?
I do it, Commissioner Strickland. What I did do for the clerk's office of the juvenile court was I had no contact with the public. The juvenile court basically was divided into two sections, delinquent and family service. Of course, as you know, the clerk's office is basically there to support the court. My job was to process all of the filings that come in on the family service side. That includes custodies, guardianships, removals. Anything that isn't delinquent falls under the family service. And as those papers were filed with the court, I would process those papers in a variety of manners, whether they be new, create them. If they were existing, update them, and put them in a status where they could be moved through the system. So I worked mostly independent.
So you're the only person in that office that does that?
Yes. Now I do have a counterpart. I had a counterpart on the delinquent side. But on the family service side, I was the only person.
They get rid of the person on the other side?
Pardon me?
Did they let the person on the other side go?
Well, I don't know, because unfortunately, as I said, this was handed to me, if not 4:29, it was handed to me at 4:30 as I was exiting my office. And again, I was escorted out the door by Knox County Sheriff's officer, so I don't know who was remaining, because that happened at 4:30 p.m. on Friday, and obviously today is Monday, so that's what has happened in time in between. Now, I can tell you this, just based upon the letter, if they didn't fund my salary, I'd kind of like to know how they funded the 3 part-time people that have been employed the last couple of weeks. And the part-time people told me, now this was before I was aware of it, before this happened to me on Friday, that they were told they would be extended throughout their college when they started college. These were some interns that were hired, and they were told they would be allowed to work as they started in the college in the fall. So, you know, I can only tell you what I know and also what I think. I don't know who was remaining after I was treated in the condition I was, if I may say so.
Well, I clearly remember that Kathy Quist came to this body to ask for more money to make her budget 100%, and we granted her that money. And it didn't come with any layoffs or anything. We granted her the money that she requested.
Well, I've looked at the budget, Mr. Strickland. I know that you're absolutely correct, and I know that my position was included in that salary. May I make one additional statement, please? This is a personal question. I'm a respected member of this county. I probably volunteered more time than a lot of people have put forth working. I'm a leadership Knoxville graduate class of 2000, community leadership class of 1999. I formerly served on the jail inspection committee representing this Knox County Commission before a lot of you were even elected. I volunteered more time here than more of you ever know. She had no idea what I did, and it didn't matter. But like I said, I clearly separated what I do outside of work and my work because I needed my job more so for the benefits than the money. Again, I'm a 6-year employee making less than $25,000 a year. A lot less than some people were made hired in off the street that didn't know jack about the job, but were put in a supervisory position. So that's what I know. And since you all, according to this letter, didn't fund the salary, I guess I'm asking you to either fund the salary or perhaps this might have been a clerical error.
Okay.
Because if any member of this body believed it was an error of some type that needs to be looked into, what could this body do?
Mr. Lauder.
You're welcome to go and talk to Ms. Quiz.
Any other remedy?
I'm sorry?
Any other remedy?
That's the first thing that comes to mind. You're talking about a constitutional officer of this county that's an independently elected official. She apparently has made an employment decision, so it seems the conversation should be directed to her.
So this, if I may ask, Mr. Chairman, does this body hold no responsibility, although she clearly says the salary request is not funded?
Hebert, I don't know what to say. I mean, I think we funded everything that they asked us to do, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll stand, take a brief recess. I know we're about an hour and a half behind on zoning, but we'll start in about 5 minutes.